Guys, it is time for my favorite segment of the week, unless we're talking about the Seahawks winning. My second favorite segment of the week. It's the NFL Power Rankings. This week, it's my turn to give you my tiers. I think Drew's going to like this one for the most part. Starting off with still hopeless. These teams are still hopeless. The Bears, Cardinals, Falcons. I still think the Cardinals are worse, but I think it's close. The Falcons obviously have 2 wins, but they still look terrible. The one
Ritter
key
looks awful.
Ritter looks terrible. Bijan Robinson looks like he's going to be pretty good, though. So that's good. The Bears almost won, but they lost to Denver. So they're all hopeless next tier.
Is Kyle
NFC.
Pitts one of the Levi, really quick? Is Kyle Pitts one of the worst draft picks of the last 2 years?
Well, I mean, he's a top 5 backup tight end in the NFL. So you tell me. I mean, Jonnu Smith is starting over him. Jonnu Smith is like 34, and he's starting. So next we have the NFC bottom feeders. These teams are all pretty bad, all in the NFC. By the
Whoa,
way,
whoa, whoa. The Commanders.
the lowest 3 in the last tier plus these 4 are in the NFC. So I believe that the 7 worst teams in the league are all NFC. Panthers are winless. The Commanders are 2-2. I think they're pretty bad. The
They
Packers and
could
the
have been
Saints,
3-1 with a win against the Eagles.
but they're not. I think all these teams will win between 5 to 7 games this season when it's all said and done. Green Bay, New Orleans. New Orleans, I thought they were going to win the division, and that's the number one change in my power rankings this week. You'll see where I have the Bucs, but Tampa Bay shocked the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr, he is playing like he forgot how to play the game of football. He looks terrible, and he has good receivers too. So I'm not sure what happened to him.
The Commanders is the one I disagree with a lot here. 2-2, had a chance to beat the Eagles. What a miraculous drive by Sam Howell and the boys to tie the game. I thought Rivera should have sent them out there for 2-point conversion in regulation to just win the whole dang thing. I think they probably get it. All of the
Look, if
momentum.
they had won, they would have moved significantly higher, but they didn't. So
They pushed the
um,
Eagles to OT. They have
yeah.
2 wins. This is not 0-3 football team that pushed the Eagles to OT and lost. They were 2-1 coming into this game.
Yeah, I don't know. I still see them as bottom feeders.
Nah,
Next year we have major shocks. 2 teams, major
the Broncos
shocks.
are worse than the Commanders.
They did lose to the Commanders, but it was close. Major shocks. These teams are
Good
major shocks.
justification. I like the justification.
These teams are shocks for 2 completely different reasons. Denver was meant to be good. They suck. The Texans were meant to be bad, and they actually look kind of good. So the Texans, they're 2-2. I thought they would be winless at this point. And unlike the Commanders and the Packers, I think the Texans might have something sustainable here because CJ Stroud looks like he's a legit quarterback.
We're legit, dude. He looks good.
He could mess around and be rookie of the year, and I think the Texans, they could be a sneaky. They could continue climbing, but they're in tier 8 right now. But they were in tier 9 last week, so they're moving up the list.
Levi, guess where the CBS Sports YouTube channel had the Texans?
Probably like 8th or something.
12. Super high.
Wow, that's
Super
really
high.
high.
Yeah, that's a little too high for me. But the Texans, yeah, they're looking pretty good. What's
Next up,
Nico
oh yeah,
Collins? He's looks like
he looks really good.
legit
Top 10,
receiver.
top 10 receiver right now.
Yeah.
And Tank Dell's not too shabby either.
Yeah, no, they held. I mean, granted, it's the Steelers, but they held the Steelers to 6 points on the defensive side. Not bad at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, I think Houston again. This is again these 2 teams probably going to end up winning around 6, 7, maybe 8 games tops. But
Top for the
if
Broncos. Tops.
the Broncos are probably more likely around 6, I think Texans could maybe win 7 or 8. But next year, the NFL is just a bunch of Kirk Cousins. Look at this. Look at this. Daniel Jones, the mobile
Wow.
Kirk Cousins. You've got Jimmy Garoppolo, the handsome Kirk. You've got Zach Wilson, the clumsy Kirk Cousins, and Mac Jones is just the terrible Kirk Cousins. There's the real Kirk Cousins. Justin Herbert is the young Kirk Cousins.
Yo, watch that.
And Ryan Tannehill is the old Kirk Cousins. So what do these guys all have in common? And it's not just the fact that they're all white pocket passing quarterbacks. All 7 of these quarterbacks and all 7 of their teams, these quarterbacks consistently are having to overcome organizational ineptitude. You thought this was a Kirk Cousins hate segment? No, this is a Kirk Cousins love segment. All 7 of
Wow.
these guys could win in the right situation. We've seen Daniel Jones win a playoff game. We've seen Jimmy Garoppolo go to a Super Bowl. We haven't seen Zach Wilson do much yet, but we did just see him outplay Patrick Mahomes. We've seen Mac Jones make the playoffs as a rookie. We've seen Kirk Cousins win divisions, win 13 games, and he does have 1 playoff win out of his 4 times he's been there. Justin Herbert doesn't have a playoff win yet, but he has been there, and he has great stats, top 10 statistical quarterback since he entered the league. Same as Kirk Cousins, by the way. And Tannehill, he won the division, I think, 3, maybe 4 times, and he also has playoff wins over Brady and regular season. He's 3 wins against Mahomes in the regular season, only quarterback to ever do that. So these guys can all win. These guys are not bad quarterbacks. The problem is they are stuck right now on terrible organizations. The Chargers, awful coach, awful defense. The Titans, they just refuse to go out and spend money in the offseason. Minnesota, I don't know what they're doing, but they should be good this year, and they're not. The Giants completely sold their offseason. The Raiders are currently in a lawsuit with Chandler Jones, and they can't seem to keep any of their players. And also have a terrible coach, terrible owner, terrible leadership. The Jets are the Jets, and the Patriots are stuck thinking that it's 2006 and it's 2023.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with all of you except for the Chargers. They're 2-2, lost against the Dolphins.
Well, so are the Titans are also 2-2. So
the Titans,
Titans beat the. And my logic here, maybe this is stupid logic, but I have Titans over the Chargers because they beat them head-to-head. Chargers over Vikings because they beat them head-to-head. And then I have Patriots over Jets because they beat them head-to-head. So these teams are all really close in my opinion. I just kind of went with the head-to-head victory to determine the ranking.
Fine. I mean, the Titans lost to the Browns by 24, but yeah.
Yeah, well, the Titans just beat the Bengals by 24, so.
Yeah.
Next tier 6, sneaky contenders. Steelers, Colts.
No.
Yes.
There.
I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs, but I think they're sneaky contenders because the Steelers
with that offense.
Well, we'll see what happens to Kenny Pickett. If Pickett has to miss time, then the Steelers could be in big trouble. But although Trubisky's been good before, and the Colts, Anthony Richardson continues to play pretty well. That was a great second half against the Rams. And you know who that reminded me of in the second half?
Who?
It reminded me of young Russell Wilson.
Wow.
Watching them come back from 23-0 and then take him all the way to overtime. I was like, this is Russell Wilson. This is young Russ with the Seahawks when it was after not his rookie season, but in his 4th and 5th years when the defense wasn't great anymore. And Russell Wilson, it felt like every game we were coming back and winning. And Russell Wilson was the most clutch quarterback in the league for about 2 years. Anthony Richardson is showing that. So I've been very impressed with Stroud and Richardson this year.
Steelers offense sucks.
But their defense offsets the offense. We'll see what I think. Who did the Steelers play next week? I'm not sure. I think they play the Ravens.
Let the Texans score 30 on them.
I think the Texans offense is better than a lot of people think.
You have the Texans below this.
For now.
But you yourself have them as not a good team.
But the Steelers will play one bad game, and then the next week they'll play an amazing game. So that's what you have to take that into account. And again, elite head coach, never had a losing season. Next tier, this is why the NFC is weak. Why? Because these two teams are probably going to make the playoffs, and neither of them have looked that impressive. The Bucs are 3-1. Their wins are against a close win against the Vikings, who looked pretty bad. And then they beat the Saints, who have scored 2 offensive touchdowns all season, I'm pretty sure. And then they beat who was their third win? Was it the Panthers? Bryce Young? I don't remember. But the Buccaneers.
They beat in the Vikings, the Bears.
The Bears. They beat the Bears. So they beat pretty much nobody. Unless the Saints was a good win, and they do move up pretty significantly.
Vikings is solid.
Maybe.
But
anyways,
the Saints.
Yeah, I do. I have the Vikings was their best win. I agree. The But the Bucs and Rams, like in an ideal world, these two teams shouldn't be in the playoffs. But right now, it looks like they're both going to make it. The Rams are tied with Green Bay, Atlanta, and the Commanders for the 7th seed. I think out of those 4 teams, I trust the Rams the most because they have a coach who's been there and done it. They have a quarterback who's been there and done it. And they have Aaron Donald, who's still one of the best defensive players in the league. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. The Rams should make the playoffs with their roster when you see who they're currently in competition with for the wild card.
Yeah,
but it just proves why the NFC's weak. Tier 4, can't wait for winter. The AFC North, these teams are built on defense. They're built to win cold games. They're built to win games where their opponents are banged up and injured. They cannot wait for winter, especially Cleveland the most, but all 3 of these teams. And you could put the Steelers in this tier if you wanted, but I don't think the Steelers have a talented enough roster to get to be in tier 4. But they also can't wait till winter. The Bengals, I don't know what to do with them. I put them behind the Browns and Ravens because they lost to the Browns and Ravens. I put them ahead of the Rams because they did beat the Rams. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm worried about the Bengals. I think
it's go time. Nowhere.
If they lose this upcoming week, then they're gonna have to start falling. But right now, I still think they can make the playoffs.
It's go time though. Right now, now is go time for the Bengals. You can't go 1-4.
Exactly. Browns and Bengals both got blown out this week, but I don't want to overreact that much. The Browns didn't even have Deshaun Watson. They were starting Dorian Robinson.
Okay, that was weird though. Deshaun Watson was cleared to play and just didn't.
Yeah, it was shoulder injury. They didn't trust him to throw. I don't know. He'll be back next week, so we'll see what happens.
Hey, but you want your starting quarterback to be cleared to play and not want to just jump on the field?
When you have,
I hate Deshaun.
Oh, I do too. I think Deshaun's a terrible person, but but why? If you're just put yourself into his shoes, all of his money's guaranteed. He doesn't have to play.
Yeah, all his money's guaranteed. I want my starting quarterback to want to play.
Exactly. That's why it was a mistake to give him the contract. Everyone knew it at the time. But the Ravens end up at number 10, so we're into the top 10 with the Ravens at 10. Tier 3, contenders with questions. I keep this tier in every single week because it's true. Number 9, the Cowboys. My question is, I don't trust Dak Prescott right now. Dak was supposed to be an MVP candidate this year. He was supposed to be the best quarterback in the NFC now that Rodgers and Brady were gone. Right now, he is being outplayed by Jalen Hurts. He's being outplayed by Baker Mayfield on Tampa Bay. He's being outplayed by Jared Goff on the Lions. He is playing pretty similarly to Geno Smith. And all of those guys are being outplayed by Brock Purdy. So Dak Prescott is giving me questions about the Cowboys. And also, you did lose to the Cardinals, who I think are the worst team in the NFL. So that's what the Cowboys are questioning.
I'll give
the Dolphins.
Dak Prescott's good at beating bad teams.
He is. They blow out everybody. That's why people overreact. You crush the Patriots. That's awesome. I have to see you play well. If the Cowboys play a good game against the 49ers, that will even if they don't win, I want to see them compete. I want to see them compete against San Francisco. Then we got Dolphins. Question is their defense. The offense I'm great with. The Lions, my question is just how much do we trust the coach and the quarterback? I know Jared Goff is playing well this year, but it's still, Dan Campbell, kind of a new coach, kind of weird. We like him right now, but it's the Lions, right? It's the Lions. The Lions always seem to screw up. Jaguars, I'm probably way too high. I have them at 6. That's just ridiculous. I have to stand by them for at least a couple more weeks. I did say this was going to be the number 1 seed early in the season. So I'm gonna chalk the Texans' loss up to the Jaguars not realizing the Texans were as good as they were, and the Chiefs obviously they were probably gonna lose to the Chiefs. They play the Bills in London this week. I think the Jaguars could come out and beat the Bills. I would not be surprised if they do. And then Seattle at 5. The question with Seattle is honestly right now my only questions about Seattle is health and Geno. I'm a little bit concerned about Geno because he isn't playing as well as he did last year. And he's not – Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigma have not played very well this year outside of the second half against Detroit, Tyler went off. Take away the second half against Detroit, Tyler hasn't done pretty much anything. And Jackson Smith-Njigba has been a non-factor. But the rest of the team is good. DK's having a good season. Kenneth Walker is a top 5 running back right now in the NFL. Noah Fant's been really good. And the defense, the Seattle defense looks like I said, people laughed at me. The Legion of Boom is back. This secondary is as good as the Legion of Boom.
I laugh at you. Not with that pass rush. I know they got 7 sacks or whatever, but
11 sacks. Yeah, the Seahawks are good. We sacked Daniel Jones 11 times. Devin Witherspoon is the real deal. Jamal Adams is going to be back as well. He did get a concussion, but he's going to be back. I love Seattle, but they are not in tier 2 yet. They could be if they beat the Bengals. They play the Bengals, Cardinals, Ravens next. I think they should win all 3 of those games. If they do, they're moving up to the next tier. But I'm not going to overreact to beating the Bengals and Cardinals. So for at least the next couple weeks, this is as high as the Seahawks are going to get to be.
Gotta feel for Jamal.
Gotta feel for Jamal. But it's just a concussion, so he'll be back soon. Tier 2, number 1 contenders, Eagles and Bills. Eagles look really good, 4-0. They're winning close games, which is good. You need to win close games. People say, oh, the Eagles are the worst 4-0 team. No, I'll tell you who the worst 4-0 team was. The Steelers 2 years ago were the worst 4-0 team ever.
It's so funny when Vikings win close game. It's like, oh, they got lucky winning close games. Eagles win close games. And oh, well, they need to win close games. That's what playoff football is.
It is. I gave the Vikings.
No one was saying that last year.
I gave the Vikings credit last year. I had the Vikings as a top 5 team for most of last season. And then what did they do? They embarrassed themselves by losing to Daniel Jones in the playoffs. So what can I say? The Bills at 3, they move up the tiers as well. Buffalo.
Josh Allen's been the best quarterback in the league since week 2.
Yeah, he is. Since week 2, he's by far the best. He's the best even if you include week 1, and he was terrible in week 1. So Josh Allen's been good. Though, the track record is the Bills can't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. So honestly, until the Bills beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, or unless the Chiefs just don't even make the playoffs, which obviously isn't going to happen, the Chiefs are going to be ahead, which is why the Super Bowl, Chiefs, 49ers. Again, I'm not gonna abandon either of these teams until they give me a reason. And so far, neither of them have given me a reason, so I'm not gonna abandon them.
Jay, Patrick Mahomes got outplayed by Zach Wilson,
and they still won. It just goes to show how good the Chiefs are. Also,
yeah, you're right. It just goes to show how good those guys. Who are the players in the black and white shirts? I didn't know they had a.
Okay, Drew. Did you see the safety that wasn't even a safety?
Well, I thought you were meant to wear the same color jersey.
I know you live in New York now, but you can't just go out here and be a Jets fan.
They're kind of old, don't you think, to play in the NFL? Some of those guys are pushing 50 for the Chiefs, you know?
Yeah, you could say the same thing about the Giants against the Seattle. The Giants.
Did you see that? They threw a flag. They waited for the pick to happen, and then the guy threw the flag.
Yeah, I agree. That was bad. They shouldn't have done that. It was a bad look.
That was awful. It was like 5 steps afterwards. Then he caught the ball. Then they threw the flag.
And also, they literally gifted the Jets a free 2 points on a safety that wasn't a safety. So
whatever, bro.
Where would you put the Chiefs?
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying there's definitely a reason to question them right now.
No, I don't. I honestly don't. So I think these are the 2 best in the NFL. Niners, Chiefs. I've got this. So this would be my championship games. I think the Niners would beat Philadelphia. I think the Chiefs would beat Buffalo. And then these are the teams that I think probably can win a playoff game, but probably aren't making it past the second round. Seattle.
You got 4 NFC teams there, Levi. Oh, 3.
3 NFC and 2. Well, I think Detroit and Dallas are really close. And Seattle is 2, but we did beat the Lions, so that's why they're ahead. Dolphins, Jags, and then these teams. I think these could all make the playoffs, maybe wild cards, but I don't see any of these teams winning a playoff game right now, and neither do
I see Joe Burr.
Neither do I see these. Game. I mean, right now he's 1-3. He's the worst quarterback in the league.
Yeah, if the playoffs were tomorrow, no, but the playoffs aren't tomorrow.
And look at, I don't know what their schedule is. Do you know who they play next?
I can look it up.
They play Seattle in 2 weeks. I think Seattle should win that game.
Well, we're playing them at the right time.
Yeah, we are.
They're playing the Cardinals, so they should get a win.
So if they lose to the Cardinals, then it's panic mode.
Oh, very. Because then you play the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Bills.
So the Bengals need to beat the Cardinals and the Seahawks.
I mean,
although I will say, Cincinnati, since they got Joe Burrow, I'm pretty sure they haven't lost to Buffalo since they got Joe Burrow. So that could be a sneaky upset pick. Bengals to beat the Bills,
I mean,
even
Levi,
with a worse record.
Look at this schedule. If they lose to the Cardinals, they will be underdogs against the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Bills, arguably the Texans, and the Ravens. Like, this is a 5-game stretch for them.
I'll tell you this. I think they beat the Cardinals. They'll be 2-3. I think probably lose to Seattle 2-4. Lose to 49ers, then you're 2-5. But then I think after that, I think you get back and I think you upset Buffalo. And then I think it's beat the Texans, and then you come back and beat the Ravens. Then you're 5-5. And then you're starting to say the season's saved.
Then you're 4-6, no?
I'm saying lose to Seattle and San Francisco, but beat Buffalo. I think they upset Buffalo. I really do.
Okay, they upset Buffalo, the they beat Buffalo, the Texans, and Cardinals. That they have
and the Ravens and beat the Ravens.
Okay.
Because they usually split. They've split with the Ravens the past 2 years.
Let's just keep going really quick. How about the Steelers?
Okay, I'll give them a win over the Steelers, 6-5. So now they've won 4 in a row.
Jaguars.
I think they lose to the Jags, 6-6 now.
Colts.
It's close. I'm gonna go with the Bengals just because at this point now they've been on a roll.
Okay, Vikings.
Well, the way the Vikings are playing right now, that's a win for Cincinnati. So now you're 8-6.
Well, with the way the Bengals are playing right now, that's a win for the Vikings. But okay, then you got the Steelers again.
I'll say you split with Pittsburgh, so now you lose 8-7.
The Chiefs.
Probably lose. I don't know. Yeah, probably lost at 8-8.
And then they play the Browns probably for a while. Maybe
so,
it's already over at that point. You never know.
No, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say the Browns have clinched a wild card, and the Bengals still haven't. And so I want to say the Bengals will get revenge on the Browns who whooped them the first time they played in Week 1. Bengals get revenge Week 18, 9-8, make the playoffs as a wild card.
And this is with a few impressive wins against the Bills, the Ravens.
As your 7 seed, who would they have to play? They would have to play the Bills probably, or whoever ends up as the number 2 seed. So they're gonna lose first round of the playoffs. So yeah, there we go. Bengals. If they make the playoffs, they're not winning. Browns, Ravens, probably not either.
All right, I think is that it.
I think that's it.
All right. Go Mariners. We have a long show.
Yes. Thank you all for watching.
Yeah.
Paul, let us know down below. I want to see all 32 of your teams ranked. I'm really curious to see.
We'll do a reaction to it.
Yes, we will. Honestly, I will. All right, guys. That's the end of your Sportscast. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Help us get to 500 subs. And help me figure out how to stop recording the video.